So thank you everyone to join. I'm gonna start sharing my screen here and we're gonna talk about a bit of AI, but less in a sense of how to use AI, because I think everyone here know pretty well. But what is the workflow and structure we need to have in place before use AI, okay? So this is the topic for today. Let me share my screen. So I'm gonna share here. I think everyone can see. If nobody can see, just send me a message and I can reply. Okay, so let's get started. I know when we talk about AI and prompts, we know that this example of prompt here in my screen is kind of a common shallow prompt that we most see people talking about it. But what I want to talk today is it's not only about the shallow prompt itself. Like we have a bunch of templates showing, oh, you need to tell what is the actor, what is your role, and have those basic structures for prompt. I'm not gonna cover that, but this is very important as well. But we're gonna cover what is the context from your work, your ownership, who is using that right now, and what is the what outputs that you want to have. So this is a common prompt, and we're gonna talk about a few problems they have and the framework. So for those that doesn't know me, I am Tai Miranda. I'm co-founder of Legalboards, and I have working with law firms for the last 16 years, building different strategies for workflow optimization. And we have Legalboards that it's a workflow Kanban methodology tool that we might have some clients here using already. So, as I mentioned before, we talk a lot about shallow AI contexts. Sorry, I hope you have some coffee too. So, shallow context. We know we saw a bunch of LinkedIn posts and social posts about shallow AI context, and this is one big important here. But another one that I think we need to talk more about, and is the one that we're gonna talk today, it's unclear ownership. If you don't have a clear understanding on how it's going to use the prompt templates that you're going to create for your firm, and for who is the output, for who is going to be this output, you miss part of the process. Why? Because you might think if you just give to someone your great template prompt and this person is a junior staff or it's a new hire or something like that, you might can think, wow, it's a great prompt when I'm using and when I can read and spot very quickly what it's missing and what is not aligned and fix it by myself. We know how amazing it is to have AI to help us to produce content, especially. But if you don't own the result, that means if you are not able to produce the same output without AI, you will not be able to identify what is a weak spot, what is a risk. And that's what we wanna try to map today to help you. So you know what is the type of prompt templates you're gonna create that even if you send to someone, if this is a new hire, you need to create some guardrails around it. Okay. So those are a few of the issues we can see with people using AI. A few ones are very clear and common, like you draft something on AI, and because it's very polished, very beautiful grammar, you might don't pay attention to the details, and then you can pass over this information and miss something. Summary that made up information. So when we have shallow context, what happens is AI try to produce the common sense that could have in that situation. But that's not common for all your cases. So that's why you need to map what is the weakness that you have in your prompt and what is the information you need to have clear, defined before and move forward. So for that, that's one the thing that I want to bring up. It's the owned framework. So this framework is 5 different questions that you need to answer before you create your own prompt templates. You might already have different prompts being used, but if you don't know, for each person is going to use this prompt and the output for who it's going to be, if it's the client, if it's the lawyer, or who it's going to use the output from this project, you might getting some different risk and issues here. But the first thing that I want to talk about is the level of this framework should be applied. The first thing that we need to understand is we defined it here in Legalboards that we have 3 different layers of work and visibility. The first one is your matter visibility, your cases, all your clients. You need to have a clear view of all of them. We are a big fan of Kanban, but doesn't matter. You just need to be able to saw all of them, especially the active ones. This is your first layer of visibility. The second layer of visibility is the stage, the group, like the workflow and the stage. So if you are a family law firm and you might have cases for dissolution, you might have cases for only child support or domestic violence. You want to have a clear view of each one of them. And then you need to have a clear view of their stages. So in a divorce workflow, you have an intake, you have a conflict check, you have a mediation, you have assets gathering. Well, you can define your own workflow, your own stage, but it's important to you to have a view of that. So you can look for one specific places and say, well, I have right now 5 cases in intake. I have X amount of cases in my mediation. This is the second level of visibility. The owned framework is applicable for the third level. That is the active itself. I hope that no one is doing this, but you can delegate, do the intake for this client. Please make the solution for this file. It's not that. You really need to go deeper into the end goal, the results, the outputs, the real outputs that is going to be used for someone, especially someone internal at your firm, before you produce something final. So the 5 questions, we're going to go over for each one of those letters. And then later, we're going to take a look at this framework, how to use some use cases and anything else. Okay, so let me talk about the first letter here. So I hope everyone is still seeing my screen. I think so. So the first layer here is owner named. So as we talk about it, who is going to use this prompt? Who is the person that is going to type this prompt in ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude, or what else? It's not like the team intake. No, it's the person. Who is the person? It's Maria. Maria is 10 years firm member, or she is 10 days. This is important to know. So that's, you need to know the person itself. The second letter we have here is the what done looks like. So what you want as a result, you need to be clear. And that's touches a lot your SOPs, your standard procedures. So if you don't have standard procedures, it's very hard to start to using AI, because every time you produce a piece, every time you produce something, it's going to look different. or might be always looking too much AI. So that's why you need to craft a lot. So what done looks like is not draft sent, is draft reviewed. I have to have the name of the person, the date, maybe key informations that you should have in this draft. So you need to design what you expect as a done for this specific activity. So remember, we talk about the different layers. This is the last layer. It's your task. It's the task that you have, I don't know, in your case management system or in Legalboards, but it's the task that you have. This person is going to be doing this at this date. Next letter, next owner. So this is important. Why? If you are producing something that who is going to take over this information is the lawyer, you should be aware of the level of information and details and organization the lawyer needs to look at first. So the output for your what done should be looked. So the layer that we just talked about it needs to include that. So that's important for you because if you are producing something that should be turning using the AI, but now it's just a junior because everyone is busy. So you put a junior to make this work. And who is going to receive that? It's the paralegal. But at the moment, you have a new hire for paralegal. You have very weak points in your workflow. Even though you use your perfect templates, if you don't flag that, because you have this map pad already and you flag, oh, we have a new hire taking something from a junior. No, we really need to add a step that every time this person, at least for the first 2 months, 3 months, or what else you're going to use, all their tasks should have a double check just for now. So this help you with that. Evidence verified. So this blends a little bit of what is the anonymization we need to make before we add something in AI, but also it's important to add the specific evidence you have. And you know those tips that people talk a lot about in LinkedIn or social or any type of content about AI that you need to ask them to don't make mistakes or don't make evidence or things like that. Yeah, that's important too. But also you need to highlight what is the evidence that you send. So this will make it easy to you review. And well, I didn't send a medical expense. So why they made up those numbers? So this help you also with the reviewing part. This defined. So the same thing that we talk about when you know the two owners, who is going to use the AI to produce the output and who is going to take over the output and continue the work. You need to know who are going to be those persons. So you have a diff defined. So if it's paralegal, we are talking about the specific information. If we are talking about lawyer and client, that's a different one. So you need to have a sense of what is the type of deep you need to have in this output that AI is going to produce for you. So we cross all the 5 letters. And before we continue and discuss more about the shallow contents and what is the difference between the one that you're going to produce after you use this framework, let's take a look at the framework and see how to use. So this is the spreadsheet that I have here. I hope everyone can see. If not, please tell me at the comments and the chat here. But what we have here is a template that I'm going to share soon we close the session. We have the first tab that is the instructions. Then we have the owned worksheet that we're going to use, risk flags, prompts, but I'm going to cross all of these tabs here. So how to use this, we're going to use together so you can read later the instructions. The first thing here, it's our workflow. So this is the workflow steps. You can see here, I have specific tasks. I don't have intake. I have intake summary. I have demand letter. drafted. So I have specific activities. We are not talking about the entire dissolution, the entire intake, the entire something. We are very specific. Then we are here at the task that is AI intake summary drafted. Who is going to use this prompt? So it's going to be a paralegal, Sarah. Sarah is going to, she's doing the intake, right? So she called the clients, she filled the checklist. I hope you guys have a checklist for your intake. So she makes sure that she got all the information for that particular type of case. She compiled all the information, and now she needs to make a summary. So the office manager can take over and make sure the key informations are first assessed in their reading files. So we don't have like a bunch of information for them, and they don't really pay attention to the key topics here. So what then looks like a summary reviewed by the office manager with corrections made, save it to the matter folder. So here we have a very specific what needs to be the steps for that. But we can even go further here and say, I want the template looks like this. First sentence is going to be the key information for this case. If you are very specific, like you are doing only for a dissolution or real estate or any specific practice area or any specific workflow, you can go even further and say, oh, if this is a estate planning, so I need the number of this, the number of that in the first sentence of the summary. Then we have the next owner. So the next owner is going to be the attorney, James. So when James got this output, he knows that the office manager helped to review and make sure the output is good. The paralegal is an experienced paralegal, and she can handle that, and she can make sure the output is well reviewed. And another thing is, we are not going to send this directly to the client. It's going to pass over to James, to the attorney first. Evidence required, the intake form complete. So when Sarah is using the template prompt to produce the AI summary, so imagine the workflow. Sarah finished her task, that is call the client and get all the evidence. When she finished this task, because I know you guys are using Legalboards, you got a new task that is use this template prompt. So the prompt is there, it's filled with all the information that is needed. Copy and paste in your AI and attach the checklist. So if something is missing, the checklist will be missing there, and the AI summary will highlight that in your first sentence. So you can create a strategy that, well, first review all the information, all the evidence required. So remember, you are using this to create your template prompt. So you know what is the evidence the AI should get as attachment from this file. Remember to not attach specific information about the client. I'm talking about the checklist. What is the information that require the clients to fill out, and what is done and what is not. So you can justify, or this is not done because for this case, it doesn't make sense. And the diff. So use anonymized inputs only, prompt AI with confirmed facts and all of that. So here you know that it's form that it's a summary that is going to be sent to James, and he might use that to complement his work as output to the client, to the final client, but it's not to the final client. So here I have a risk level that you can help to you to understand, well, a AI summary drafted to a paralegal, to the attorney, is not really a high risk, right? I hope that everyone take a look at this file and make sure, and also it's just intake. So you don't really need to freak out with any mistakes here, unless you have a different name here. So Sarah, it's 10 years for a member. But if I have a new hire here, maybe the office manager should be involved, just to double check. Demand letter. Same workflow, but this is a high risk. So you need to flag that different. Now, let's take a look at our risk flags. Just a sip. All right. So our risk flags, you can see here we have exactly the same activities. Who is the current owner and the risk identifier. So here is where you can reassess your workflow. So imagine you are build your all SOPs right now. You have everything designed in your workflow, but you got a new hire at paralegal. So you back to here. And something that was here as a low risk, we move to medium because now is not Sarah anymore. For this specific task, it's going to be Tai. And you know, Tai is not that experienced, so she needs some help. So you need to design that and you have to save that in your file so you can reassess. And then you have a recommendation fix. So if it's not anymore Sarah, it's Tai, and Tai is a new hire, what you can do here? So all tasks that Tai is doing, we need to pair up with a paralegal with 5 years experience for the first client. So you can design a strategy that you guardrails your workflow, even though if you have a new hire, if you have someone getting sick, if you have a different client, so you can map everything that is butter and bread and pay attention to the avocado on top of this butter and bread. Um, but well, the last few topics that I want to talk about is to 3 different prompts templates that I have. It's just to give you an idea. But I really think after you fill out all this workflow and this framework and define it, what it's going to be the tasks that you're going to use AI power up with your team members, and then you can really assess what is the type of prompt that you need to have. The prompt template is just a guide. So you have those basic rules to use prompt AI. So you define who is this AI persona, what is the evidence verify, what is the information that you have, and important here, you can see that all of those informations I am marking as anonymous. So it's client A, insurance A, client B, date 1, and so on. And we're going to see about that later. And then we have another one for client status update. So can you imagine that you could have a task or maybe it's something more dynamic that produce the content itself, but you have something that once a week produce a summary and someone just read someone that you defined who is the owner of this activity. So you know this person is going to look to the specific risk information this client status update is going to produce. Read, copy, paste, send to the clients every week. Or you can have an automation with Legalboards that send that automatically. I guess you can start from a week or 2 weeks. You start getting a sense of the amount of time you are saving with specific content producing, or either client communications, if that is getting down. So you are getting less client calling, less emails, less communication. You are winning something here. And the last one here is the anonymization. So this is a guide, very specific for personal injury, but we can produce that for any type of criteria. You can send client information. So let's talk about the market AI. So the ones that you just open, ChatGPT, Gemini, like the ones that are free or very, very cheap. Those tools usually use massive data information filled in them to produce better pieces. So they kind of learn from or use. When you paste a client name, insurance name, amount. You start filling a database with information that he knows your region, the insurance name. It's a lot of key information that it's easy to be crossed. Another point is you are filling a tool that is not your legal management system with client information. The chance of someone get access to your AI chats is not that impossible. So it's important to you that you have that in mind. Has a lot of tools in AI like Copilot from Microsoft, even ChatGPT, Cloud, that you can set up this in their settings. So you go to settings and you set up, well, I don't want to use my data as information to be used for other clients or other users for their software. But you need to make sure their terms of use highlight that and make sure that it's in their terms of use, because sometimes it's hard to find this type of information. But it's not really necessary to have those information. So I think less it's better. So if you don't really need to place those information in their system, don't put it. Create a system that search and replace all clients' names and he adds as a client A, client B, because later you can use the same find and replace system to put it back your client information, but in your doc, in your workflow, inside your own authority. Okay, so we are almost finishing here. We talk about the framework, and here's the first prompt that we saw. With this prompt, we clear miss who is the owner, who is going to be the person using this prompt, to who it's going to be this result, this output. What is the evidence? We don't have the evidence. And also we use client name here, John Smith, the amount, and also very shallow information like car accident and hurt his back and neck. Here is what AI invented, so you can take a look at the prompt that was produced. It's a very well polished prompt, but it's not true. So it's requesting a specific medical, so it's invented liabilities, invented due date, so invented a bunch of things. And if you don't have designed, who is gonna read that and make sure those information are accurate or not? You got in the issues that we talk later. And then the structure prompts that we just saw about it. So that's all for today. I hope that everyone could